Are AI deepfakes influencing the 2024 US elections? 2023 was the year of artificial intelligence, so it's no surprise that states are already incredibly concerned about how AI can and will be used in the 2024 elections. I'm Sarah, this is Bill Track 50, Beyond the Bill Number. Check out our new Beyond the Bill Number podcast on Apple now. Just this past month, news outlets all over the world reported that viral images of former President Donald Trump with Black people were AI generated. A radio host named Mark Kay told the BBC that it was the individual's problem if their vote was influenced by AI images. He and his team were responsible for creating these viral images. In February, a political consultant representing several New York politicians admitted that he was behind the reported fake robocall telling President Joe Biden supporters to not vote in New Hampshire. This week, a look at deepfake artificial intelligence in political campaigns. What is a deepfake? Deepfakes are a form of artificial intelligence where fake images, videos, and audio is created by a specific machine learning called deep learning. Artificial intelligence, in actuality, is when an algorithm is fed information, and based off that information, it learns and produces an output based off the knowledge it's fed. This process is called training AI models. Deep learning involves hidden layers, or more than one type of machine learning algorithm, and converts real images, videos, and audio into fake media based off the prompts given by its creator. This complicated process is based on something called neural networks. Neural networks describe the process of producing complex deepfakes using two different algorithms. One algorithm is trained to produce the best fake replicas possible, based off of sourced images, audio, and video. The second algorithm is trained to detect when the media is faked and when it's not, which might be the secret to identifying AI-generated content in the future. The media is then created in almost a dance-like fashion between the two models, with them iterating back and forth, each responding and improving upon the result of the other, generating new and different media each time. The end result, like the tango, is a masterpiece. These models are getting better all the time. It's no longer common to see people with 6 fingers. So what's the issue here? In today's world, generally what people see on the internet is what they see as truth. It stands to reason that if you can create deepfakes about anything in the world you want, you can influence people. Unchecked, deepfake-based misinformation can wreak havoc on our society. We can think of this at all sorts of different levels, as small as the nuclear family, with creating videos showing somebody in serious trouble and asking a relative to send money to help them. We could think of it a bit larger with politicians, showing them saying or doing things that don't align with their character or platform. We could even see this on the world stage. Media of world leaders saying or doing things that could provoke violence, fuel unrest, or even start a war. As I mentioned earlier, neural networks use a model that's trained to spot AI. Should we invest more time and resources in these models, training them to recognize the parts of AI-generated media that aren't detectable by us mere mortals, we could maybe combat deepfakes. This would, however, require that essentially every piece of media on the internet go through some type of audit, which creates privacy and free speech concerns. One of the largest issues today when looking at deepfakes is how these can be used during the election cycles to influence people's opinions on candidates and issues, ultimately resulting in election interference. This interference could come from opponents, PACs, or even state actors. But also, like we saw with the Trump supporters' AI images, they could come from everyday people looking to help get their candidate elected. So, given all of this, what is going on at the policy level? The US is busy when it comes to deepfakes and elections. Currently, there's over 50 bills pertaining to deepfakes and elections from around the country. On the national level, we'll look at 3 different bills. First, the Protect Elections from Deceptive AI Act, aiming to prohibit the distribution of materially deceptive AI-generated audio or visual media relating to candidates for federal office. Second, the Candidate Voice Fraud Prohibition Act, which also aims to prohibit any distribution of materially deceptive audio generated by artificial intelligence which impersonates a candidate's voice and is intended to injure their reputation. Finally, the Deepfakes Accountability Act. Deepfakes here stands for defending each and every person from false appearance by keeping exploitation subject. And this aims to protect our national security against threats posed by deepfake technology, but also provide legal recourse for victims of harmful deepfakes, like the deepfakes we're seeing related to fake pornography. Now, a deeper look at state legislation. Most state legislation shares an overall objective of curbing the use of deepfakes in elections through requiring the creators and users of the content to disclose that the content is AI generated. As of writing this article, 15 states have passed legislation aiming to limit or combat using deepfakes as tools in elections. The majority of these bills use a phrase synthetic media, which is defined as an image and audio recording or a video recording of an individual's appearance, speech, or conduct that has been created or intentionally manipulated with the use of generative adversarial network techniques or other digital technology in a manner to create realistic but false images, audio, or video. Before 2024, 6 states passed legislation aiming to prevent and penalize the spread of misinformation through deepfakes. California in 2019, and Michigan, Minnesota, Texas, Washington, and Wisconsin, all in 2023. This year, Arizona, Florida, Georgia, Indiana, Kentucky, New Mexico, Utah, West Virginia, and Wyoming have all passed deepfake legislation. Some states are taking an approach of requiring anyone distributing election materials to disclose the fact that they are AI generated, including Arizona, Iowa, Mississippi, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Tennessee, New Jersey, and West Virginia. Most of this legislation imposes a 90-day disclosure requirement. The Arizona bill does this pretty well. It says within 90 days of an election, a person using synthetic media needs to include a clear and conspicuous disclosure that states that the media is generated by artificial intelligence. It also goes on to say that if the media is only audio and no visual disclosure is possible, the disclosure has to be read in a pitch that the normal ear can hear and clearly spoken at the beginning and the end. And if the audio is more than 2 minutes, it has to be in there every 2 minutes. So they're really kind of covering their bases and really trying to ensure that people have received the disclosure that whatever they're about to consume is fake, is AI generated. It also says that this doesn't apply to any kind of media that is constituted as satire or comedy. In New Jersey, New Hampshire, and South Carolina, they've proposed bills allowing any registered voter, along with political candidates, to sue if there's deepfake created about them. The New Hampshire bill calls out that this legislation can lead to some cost concerns. And finally, a Massachusetts bill that would create a task force to study deepfakes and digital content forgery, the proliferation of these in state and local government, the risks, including privacy risks associated with digital content forgery, the impact of digital content forgery on civic engagements, including using deepfakes to influence elections, legal implications, and best practices for preventing digital content forgery. This is a huge issue that we need to act swiftly on to ensure we are appropriately monitoring how this new technology can impact and influence the public. The disclosure is an interesting first step with me, because without these outlined disclosures, deepfakes could just mislead people without them knowing that it was, fake. But also I wonder if calling out that something that someone is using is synthetic media will even have an impact. Will people pay attention to these disclosures? Once you see something or hear something, does knowing that it's fake completely negate how you felt about it? Do you think these disclosures will limit the impact that this type of media can have on people? What else, if anything, should be done? Comment below and check out BillTrack50.com for more information and blogs just like this one.